Thank you everyone for joining us in today's webinar with Nous Infosystems on accelerated migration from Tableau to Power BI. My name is Sindhu Lakshmi and I will be your host for the day. Now, before we begin our session, I would like to inform you that we have a Q&A at the end of this session. Hence, you can type in your questions during the webinar and we will try and answer those at the end of the session. Let me give you a brief overview of Nous Infosystems. Nous Infosystems is a global IT and digital solutions provider. With more than 25 years of experience, we have grown into a mature, mid-sized IT company with offices in the US, Canada, UK, Germany, and India. Nous delivers services through dedicated business units, Global Software Services Unit, offering product engineering, application development, and maintenance services. Testry, offering software testing and quality assurance. And we serve 24/7, offering remote infrastructure management services. In today's webinar, we will take you through how migration from Tableau to Power BI can be performed faster at much lower risks, complexities, and costs through templatized migration aided by best practices and tools. We will look at migration best practices and demo of NousMigrator for Tableau to Power BI migration acceleration and free-to-use Tableau to Power BI migration cost calculator, Power Assist. We have with us today Jayaprakash Sharma to take us through this webinar. Jayaprakash heads the analytics practice at Nous Infosystems and has expertise in various domains. Over to you, JP.
Thank you, Sindhu. Hello all. Yeah, let me start with there are two key artifacts that I wanted to demo today. One is Power Assist, and another is our NousMigrator tool. Okay, so let me start with Power Assist first. Power Assist, it's a free-to-use tool that we have created, to calculate the ROI for Tableau to Power BI migration. Okay. It helps in estimating migration costs, estimating the Power BI licenses costs, and then overall TCO, achieved through migration and subsequent maintenance for over 3 years. Okay. We are also developing TCO calculators for Click, Cognos, and MicroStrategy. Okay. Let me show you the TCO calculator so that way you can see how it works. Okay. We call it Power Assist, as I shown there. So this is the TCO calculator. It is Excel macro based tool which is free to use. It's a self-service kind of a thing. Anybody can easily use it. It has 3 tabs if you look at the bottom. Okay, one is Discovery Questionnaire, and second is Power Assist, and third one is TCO and Savings. So what it does, you see, when we give this to you, okay, you can enter certain details, right? Those we call discovery questionnaires, like where are you migrating from? Is it Tableau or Cognos or whatever? And then where is your data? Then the licensing information of the Tableau, like creator licenses, explorer licenses, viewer licenses, and more importantly, what is the percentage of more frequent users out of the total licenses that you have? And then, are you using any add-ons? Some people use Einstein Discovery, and similarly some other add-ons. So it's important to know about that also. Then about the reports, okay, how many reports overall you have, and then these reports how they are categorized, like percentage of simple reports, medium reports, complex reports, right? And similarly, as you all know, Tableau has something called data extracts, like hyper extracts and all that. So how many data extracts you have, and then again within that, what is the categorization, how many simple, how many medium, how many complex, how many very complex data extracts you have. And to help you do the categorization yourself about of the reports and the data extracts, we also have given a formula, like when do you call a report a simple report, when do you call a model a simple model, like that. See, for example, when it comes to report complexity, what are the number of data sources, and what is the number of sheets, right? If the sheets are is less than three, and then only one data source, and overall number of calculations are less than 10, we can consider it as a simple report. Like that, we have categorization for simple, medium, complex. Similarly, for the data extracts also. Okay, and similarly, when we say uh, what is meant by frequent users, that also we have defined. So this, what happens is, how to input the details related to your Tableau inventory. So once you enter these details, the rest of the things this tool takes care. So what it does, if you go to Power Assist, once you enter the details and you go to Power Assist, um, here it gives two things. If you look at left side, that is as is. That means current state. That means as is when you maintain for 3 years the existing Tableau licenses and the maintenance or whatever. Okay. Then right side to be. That means if you migrate to Power BI and continue for 3 years. So this to be state includes, Power BI, Pro and Premium licenses if needed, and then you would also need to maintain some Tableau licenses until the Power BI migration happens and you do, cutover, right? So that cost, and also more importantly, the migration costs. So if you look at the bottom, you will see that Power BI licenses cost separately calculated and Tableau license cost separately calculated for to be state. And then the migration costs, you see two types of migration. One is with and another is without. So this means we can use migrator tool to get the information. And if you use that, what is the overall migration cost? Or if you don't do everything, all manual migration, if you do, what is the cost? Okay. So all these together, you will see in the upper box, the total cost for over 3 years. You clearly see that for the given scenario, if you continue with the Tableau for next 3 years, it will be around 700,000. Whereas if you might, then it'll be close to 500,000. So that's the difference that it shows. And there are cases where we have seen, based on the details that you provide, we see that sometimes even the after migration the cost is more, but it's very, very, very rare scenario. Most cases what we see is the migration is more cost effective. Okay, so the same thing. In the third tab, you will see in a graphical representation where you would clearly see, uh, what are the migration costs in a, in a line, and in the dotted lines, the migration cost, and the straight line you see where if you uh, continue to maintain the Tableau licenses, how it costs you over 3 years, and if you migrate and maintain, how the overall cost. Okay. So apart from that, the TCV calculator also lists down certain, advantages of having, Power BI. Like, you have the entry in the ecosystem. You have a nice integration with AI. You don't need to be really a data scientist to do anything. You have many ML models included within, so you can use them. And then obviously very short time for market. Okay, and then very easy to adapt. Okay, and you have open community. So these are certain advantages that you get, when you go with Power BI. So this is Power Assist. It is free to use tool. Um, Very easy to do the migration. So the next thing that I want to cover is, the migration process and the NousMigrator tool, how it helps, right? So there are three major approaches, people follow to migrate from Tableau to Power BI. One is, I would say, all manual, where identify Tableau data sources for reporting, connect to Power BI, build the data set, create the reports, all manual. Okay. Then next one, you can create audited Excel files of reports, okay, Tableau reports, and then run Power BI on that to get the data. That can be used as source for Power BI reports. A little bit better, but it is still sort of manual intervention. Then the third approach is migrate Tableau datasets to Power BI using the migrator tool, NousMigrator tool. And once that data sheet is available, use that for creating Power BI dashboards. Okay, we use this approach, the third approach, because it definitely helps reducing the migration time. Okay. In addition to the the automation piece, Nous also uses feature mapping checklist and then best practices templates while redesigning the Tableau post. Obviously helps. These are built over a period with our experience in migration, so this will help augmenting the migration process. On top of it, Nous has both project and consulting expertise both on Tableau and Power BI that will definitely help in analyzing the existing Tableau inventory and then plan and migrate to Power BI. Okay. And obviously, as you have seen just now, you can measure the financial benefits and ROI with the Power Assist. So these are the differentiators that I can say. What process we follow to migrate from Tableau to Power BI? These are very standard, four-step migration process where we first do the discovery, where we analyze the existing dashboard reports, Tableau reports, and review any security governance rules that they are there, and categorize and rationalize the reports. Most of the times there may be some duplicates. There is no point in spending time on migrating. All those kind of things we do, and then run the reports and see, and then define the performance benchmarks, because that baselines are important to verify reports after migration, and then define the approach for migration. Okay, so that we do in the initial discovery analysis phase, and then plan the migration where list down all the artifacts to be migrated, and, key features that we need to note down, and then note down the if needed, if there is no direct match, because there are cases same type of functionality are implemented in different ways in different tools. So that is important to note down those things so that we would use the appropriate alternative in Power BI, and then we'll develop the plan for migration and validation. Okay, once this is done, do the execution. Create Power BI data models, obviously use the automation tool here to migrate the Tableau extracts into Power BI data model and the perform migration, and then any governance rules to be implemented, implement them, and then validate as the last fourth step. So these are the standard phases and steps of migration. Okay. So what is the key differentiation in this process? One is dataset migration automation using the tool, and then obviously feature migration guidelines and checklists, migration best practices, and migration validation approaches, standard approaches that we built and kept. So those we use to do the migration. This is about the overall process architecture. So now let's see, how NousMigrator works. Migrate uh, Tableau data extract to Power BI dataset. So as you would know, Tableau has two types of data extract. One is hyper, and older versions have something called DD. Okay. Um, so these we use as the source. Okay. And Nose migration utility, what it does is it obviously leverages the Tableau API to extract the metadata, right, of the Tableau extract, and then uh, programmatically creates Power BI dataset using the Tableau object model, TOM we call, right? Once once the Tableau object model is created by the migration utility, uh, this Tableau object model can be opened using Tableau editor. If any name modifications needed, we can make manual modifications if at all necessary, and then publish it to Power BI service. Once it is published to Power BI service, the dataset is available and it can be mapped to the appropriate data source, and then it can be refreshed, and then you can use that to create reports. So that's uh, the process that migration tool follows. Okay, so let me quickly show you how the migration tool works. Okay, so let me open migration tool. While it is opening, let me do one thing. I open Tableau also. So I'm connecting to Tableau server to get the data. So I select analytics and then go explore. I do analytics R&D, and then let me take this. Okay. So maybe I click edit work. It's connecting. Meanwhile, I open Power BI also. Okay. .powerbi.com. It will take me to my Power BI. Yeah, so this is one data flow. Is there nothing else here in my workspace? And if I come here, let me. So you see that this is the data set that we are going to migrate to Power BI. We see, this the dimensions and the fact, account, date, department, group, organization, scenario, and fact finance. That is the data set that we are going to migrate. Okay, let me see my tool has come up. So let me connect to Tableau server from here. Let me test the connection. Connection is successful. Fetch Tableau metadata so that it fetches all the metadata related to the projects. So let me connect to analytics project, the same that I have connected there. And then let me say take analytics R&D project. That's the same thing that I have selected there. And then let me select this extract. Okay. Same thing that I have selected. Now let me hit create. Yeah. So now Power BI dataset is created. Okay. So let me here. So this is the this is the TOM file that it creates. If you look at it is created just now. Okay. So now if you open here, you can open that dataset. Yeah, this is the same dataset that it has created. You can see it. If you want to make any modifications, you can make modifications here, or you can open this here with Tableau editor, or you can go open here also, right click and then open with Tableau editor. These are three ways that you can open that file in Tableau editor. Okay, so now if you look at the data source from where we have picked up this, and these are the tables. If you look at, these are the ones: dimension, account, scenario, date, finance, department, group, organization. These are the ones that we have looked at, and these are the relationships between these entities, right? So any modifications if you want, we can make here, and then you can open in Tableau editor, and then we can publish it. So you can go to model, deploy, and then this is the Tableau server in Power BI server. Okay, so just so that you see, right now Power BI server doesn't have any data sets except one reseller sales data flow. So now I'm just trying to publish. So it asks for my edition. So once I give that, it takes a while. Yeah. Now it is showing some, because the file name is Tom, it shows Tom as the dataset name. We can say maybe sales data set. That's what I name it. Go next and then deploy. It takes a couple of less than a minute, I would say. Applied when deployment is done. Now let me go to here. So let me refresh. Yeah. See the sales data set here. Okay. So once you have the sales data set, we need to make sure it is mapped to the appropriate data source. So I go to services and then I can do from tool also, or I can do from here. It's easier either way. So what I'm doing is I'm just mapping it to the appropriate data set from where it can be. So that means what happens is you can you can migrate a data set, the extract to Power BI data set, and then you need not necessarily point to the same database source that the extract is connected. If the data source structure is same and everything, you can even point. For example, if you export the data set from maybe QA environment, but finally I want to connect that to production environment database, you can map that here. Okay, so that is one flexibility that you have. So let's say apply. Yeah, that's done. So now let me go back to the data set. I'll just go here. Yeah, says let me refresh this. This also I can do through application. Also, I can actually go to gateway and then I can connect to Power BI Okay, here I would get the workspaces. See, and then I can select yes. And then once I select workspace, see I have the sales data set, whatever I create. And I can do this bind data sets to gateway if I click, which I have done already manually. But if I do this, what it does is it binds the data set to gateway and appropriate database and then does the data refresh also. So that part, it is taken care now. Now your data set is ready. So let me open this and then let me try to create a report. First, let me see how the data set is, right? Yeah. So now this is the data set that I am seeing. So let me go to Tableau. Maybe I will just minimize a bit. See, now if you look at dimension date, dimension department group, dim organization, dim scenario, and fact finance. All whatever that we have in Tableau or here, right? So let me see if I can create, quickly a visual. So let me select bar chart visual, and then maybe let me go to organization, pick organization name, right? And then go to fact table. Let me pull this amount. Okay, that's it. See, I have the visual ready. So that means you can um, programmatically connect to Tableau, extracting metadata using the tool, of course, leveraging the Tableau API, and then uh, you know uh, extract the asset and then convert that into tabular object model. Once you have tabular object model, you have all the flexibility to make modifications, whatever you need, and publish it to service with whichever name you want, and then map it to the appropriate data source, and then do the refresh. That's it. You have the data set available, and all the reports that are dependent on this data set can be created on top of this Power BI data set. Okay, so let me go back to the presentation. So this is about Tableau to Power BI migration tool. It is very seamless, and just to let you know, all migrations may not be as seamless as I have shown. There are obviously certain places you may get the data extract. That's the reason we have put this tabular editor in between. Why? Because when we migrate data set, in this case, the entire data set got migrated 100% without any manual intervention. But there are cases where the very complex data sets, when we migrate, there may be small here and there. There are certain, the transformation functions that work slightly differently. Those kind of things you can always go and modify in the tabular before you, publish it to service. So, uh, while most of the data sets can be straight away migrated, there are cases where we migrate and we make uh, some tweaking to make sure the Power BI data set works exactly the same way as the source data set. Okay, once that is done, you can publish and then you can create reports. Okay, so I think we have covered most of what we want to cover here. So what are the key takeaways? Um, you know, One is Now's Power Assist. It helps in pricing analysis and creates a TCO baseline for Tableau to Power BI migration. And another is Migrator tool. Obviously, it brings automation to Tableau to Power BI migration, which will reduce overall migration time and effort, and obviously the cost. Okay. And the uh, key ingredient of entire thing is Power BI, Microsoft Power BI, which is market leader, uh, you know if you look at Gartner the quadrant, it is leader by distance. If you look at, okay, so that is all about the accelerated migration from Tableau to Power BI. You can reach out uh, for any business and solution value assistance at the numbers that have listed there.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. We truly appreciate you being here. Now, we will be answering few of the questions. The first question asked is, how much time it takes to migrate the Tableau dashboard to Power BI?
So, I mean, it's difficult to answer. Why? Because it all depends on multiple parameters. Why? Because it all depends on uh, how many Tableau reports you have and how many extracts you have and so on. But typically, if you take one Tableau extract and one Tableau workbook with some 3-4 sheets, right? That in the extract migration, you see it's straightforward. You can just you obviously have to do certain analysis upfront. So if you keep it that for a 4 hour time frame, and then you do the migration. Migration will not take time at all, and the only thing that it takes time is once you have the dataset migration, you do the report migration, right? So that will take some time. Okay. So overall, Tableau workbook with one hyper extract and maybe 3 sheets can be migrated in maximum 2 days, with even if it is slightly complex. Okay, with migration. But again, it's very subjective because that's the reason we have put certain calculator, TCO calculator tool where the Power Assist, where you can categorize the reports and then you can arrive at migration costs in the timelines and all that. Okay. Hope that answered your question.
Okay, thank
Any other
you.
questions, Sindhu?
Let's move on to the next question. How can we access the migration cost calculator?
Yeah, you can always reach out to us, so we can show that migration to TCO calculator, and then take inputs and then provide you the result, or uh, see once the other type of formalities like NDA and other things are taken care, we could even give you so that you can calculate yourselves. Any other questions, Sindhu?
Thank you, JP. Moving on. Does using custom SQL and initial SQL in Tableau data sources, SQL Server, make this migration more challenging? How does Power Assist account for this?
You see that there are using custom SQL, in the Tableau hyper extract or in the workbooks. So it's basically wherever there is a custom SQL, there are ways. One thing is if it is extract, obviously the migration tool takes care of migrating and then allows you to tweak in the in the tabular editor. But in the workbooks, when we use custom SQL, that obviously it's a manual effort. Case to case, we have to look at and then make appropriately used. Okay, but any custom SQL can be migrated without any problem in Power BI. Obviously, the complexity, uh, you know, changes based on what type of SQL that you used.
Thank you,
Hope that
JP.
answered your question. Yeah. Any other questions?
What license of Power BI is needed for replacing Tableau?
Yeah, again, Power BI comes with different licensing options. You know, uh, one is free to use licenses there, okay, and with certain limits on the type or size of the data set and other things. And you have Power BI Pro. Most of the cases, Tableau, to Power BI migration, we usually go with Power BI Pro if it is smaller setup. And if the entire Tableau setup is enterprise wide with a large number of users, like 1,000 users or 1,500 users, then we would obviously suggest to go with the Power BI Premium, which is much more cost effective for large number of users. If there are many consumers and a set of creators, then Power BI Premium is the best license that you can use. Again, the way in premium, again, multiple tiers are there, so that will be decided based on what volume of data that you are handling and what frequency that you are accessing the reports and many other parameters. Based on that, you could use the different tiers of premium, right? And in case if you are using if you have any product and you are accessing reports through your as part of your product, then you can use Power BI embedded, where you can embed reports within your product so that end users get seamless access. So based on different types of needs, you have different types of licenses. So all in all, you have Power BI free to use, and then Power BI Pro, Power BI Premium, Power BI Embedded. And there is another one called Power BI Premium per user. Um, One key point that I would like to mention here is that if you want to use paginated reports, those are generally supported in Power BI Premium, not in Pro. So, but Premium is generally capacity-based licensing. But if individual users also want to use, like want to create paginated reports and deliver certain premium features. For that, you have a different licensing variant called Power BI Premium per user. So that also user-based licensing, which can be used in case if you have paginated reports usage in your org. These are different variations, but from Tableau to Power BI migration, we would suggest Pro or a premium capacity-based licensing based on the number of user base that you have. Hope that
Thank
answered
you.
your question.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, thank you, JP. At this moment, I'm afraid we will only be able to take these many questions. However, we will soon connect with you over an email to answer the remaining questions. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today and have a great day.
Thank you all.